Welcome to this explainer. Right, today we are exploring a truly massive shift in Indian history. We're going to look at exactly how a simple, peaceful demand transformed into an unstoppable nationwide rebellion that literally brought the mighty British Empire to a standstill. To really understand the foundation of modern India, we have to start with a surprisingly simple question. How does something sitting in your kitchen pantry right now, salt, become the ultimate weapon of mass rebellion? It sounds crazy, right? But it's a fascinating historical journey, and we're going to break down exactly how this ordinary ingredient shook an entire empire. We're going to track this journey through 6 quick stages. First, an ultimatum. Second, that spark. Third, the fire of Satyagraha. Fourth, a nationwide rebellion. Fifth, the Gandhi Urban Pact. And finally, setting a standard for independent India. Okay, let's jump into our first stage, an ultimatum. By late 1928, young leaders, guys like Jawaharlal Nehru and Subhash Chandra Bose, were totally done with half measures. The British were offering this vague promise of dominion status. It's kind of like being told you're allowed to decorate your house, but the British still hold the deed and the keys. So, rejecting this entirely, the leaders pivoted to a new absolute goal, Purna Swaraj, total independence. The time for compromising was officially over. The Lahore Congress became the point of no return. Picture this. It's midnight, December 31st, 1929. Freezing cold on the banks of the Ravi River. Jawaharlal Nehru hoists the new tricolor flag of freedom amidst absolute roars of revolution. It electrified the whole country. And then, just weeks later, on January 26, 1930, a formal independence pledge was read aloud in countless villages and towns straight across the nation. A totally new era had begun. Which brings us to our second link, that spark. Now, having a massive goal like Purna Swaraj is fantastic, but you need a master strategy to actually get people moving. Enter Mahatma Gandhi. He cleverly drafted 11 highly specific demands, and it was a brilliant move. He didn't just focus on high-level politics, he intentionally rolled in the needs of peasants, the merchant class, basically the general public. By doing this, he made sure that every single class in society saw their own personal struggles reflected in this one national movement. It wasn't just for the elite anymore, it was for everyone. The core of this ultimatum was actually a massive financial threat. Gandhi demanded a staggering 50% cut across the board. 50% off British military spending, 50% off civil service expenses, and a 50% reduction in peasant land revenue. It was a calculated double whammy designed to starve the government treasury while simultaneously lifting this crushing economic weight off the poorest citizens. All right, moving to stage 3, the fire of Satyagraha. Naturally, the British government turned a complete deaf ear to these demands. So Gandhi needed an issue they absolutely could not ignore or suppress. He chose salt. On March 12, 1930, he embarked on the Dandi March with just 78 followers. And get this, Gandhi was 61 years old at the time. He walked 240 miles in the searing heat over 3 weeks. That is roughly a marathon a day. It perfectly proved how a tiny, hyper-focused start can ignite an absolute wildfire. This civil disobedience movement wasn't just random protesting, it had highly specific, step-by-step instructions. The plan was clear: break the salt laws, picket shops selling foreign cloth, boycott British courts, refuse to pay taxes, and resign from government posts. But, and this is absolutely crucial, all of this was strictly bound by one absolute condition: complete nonviolence. No matter what the goal was, the means had to remain peaceful. Let's look at stage 4, the whole country in rebellion. The British responded with strategic arrests, immediately taking Nehru and Gandhi into custody. But honestly, this just poured gasoline on the fire. The rebellion spread across all geographic boundaries. In Tamil Nadu, C. Rajagopalachari led his own march. Over in Malabar, P. Krishna Pillai bravely defended the national flag against a brutal police baton charge. Up in Peshawar, the Frontier Gandhi organized the Red Shirt Brigade. And literally, one of the most incredible details, in the Manipur and Nagaland region, a 13-year-old spiritual leader named Rani Gay Dinliu sparked a massive revolt against foreign rule. 13! It just proves that this desire for freedom knew absolutely no boundaries of geography or age. So this was no longer confined to closed-door political meetings. We are talking about a true mass uprising of students, tribals, workers, and farmers. And crucially, it brought unprecedented mass participation from women. For so many, stepping out of their homes to picket and protest was a completely new, liberating experience. It marked a massive social awakening happening right alongside the political one. Stage 5. The Gandhi-Irwin Historical Pact. The sheer massive size of this united front essentially forced the British to do something they desperately wanted to avoid: come to the negotiating table. The resulting agreement was historic, placing the Congress Party on an equal footing with the British government. The British conceded to releasing nonviolent prisoners and finally allowing personal salt-making. However, there was a major catch. Lord Irwin flatly refused to investigate police brutality, and really importantly, he refused to commute the death sentence of the revolutionary Bhagat Singh. This caused a really deep, lingering national heartbreak. And that brings us to our final stage, Stage 6, setting the standard for independent India. That lingering frustration over Bhagat Singh highlighted the urgent need to design a clear framework for the nation's future. So in March 1931, at the Karachi session, the true shape of Purna Swaraj was finally put on paper. You can think of this as the very first draft of a modern nation's rulebook. They passed a historic resolution on fundamental rights: free speech, universal franchise, meaning the right to vote, equal laws, and free primary education. They even outlined a national economic program that pushed for massive rent reductions for farmers and a living wage. The literal foundations of a modern constitution were being laid down right here. This sparked a massive philosophical shift. Just take a look at this core ethos from the Karachi Resolution. Political freedom must include the economic freedom of the starving millions. This is exactly where independence was directly linked to the everyday reality of the common person. You simply couldn't have true political freedom without economic survival. They realized the two were totally inseparable. As we wrap up this explainer on the immense sacrifices and brilliant strategies of the 1930s, I want to leave you with a powerful question. It's one that leaders wrestled with back then, and it honestly still echoes at the foundation of modern democracies today. If political freedom doesn't guarantee a person their fundamental rights and basic economic survival, does that freedom actually exist? It really makes you appreciate the intense thought that went into building the institutions we rely on today. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive, and keep questioning.